Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Speaker, I am a member of the Transport Committee of this House, and we have interacted with this question of Kenya Airways quite at length. This is not the first time that a senator is raising this matter on this floor. Out of that interaction, I am convinced that the only solution to the Kenya Airways question is getting government out of Kenya Airways. It is the only parastatal that I am ready and willing to support full privatization, because all of the interference, all of the things and the nuances that the senators are referring here to is because of the influence of people in power on the board of management of Kenya Airways. I do not agree with those who proposed, for instance, that, and Senator Khalwale has spoken to it here, that we need to allow Kenya Airways to run the airports. What you're essentially doing is taking a loss-making entity, which is Kenya Airways, to put it in charge of a profit-making entity, which is the Kenya Airports Authority. That is not a solution that I would proffer. But it is good that this matter is coming up for, I think, the 10th time. The National Assembly has had inquiries on this particular matter. The Senate committees have had inquiries on Kenya Airways and its viability. But I still believe that the only solution is to get government influence out of the management of the affairs of Kenya Airways. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, as you know, yesterday we had a very interesting debate here, and I think it has come full circle that today Senator Okenyuri has brought a question before this House whose victims, a vast majority, are the male. Vast majority. I have heard you saying the committee should give you the demographics of the spread of the victims. The largest percentage of reported victims of this mchele are men, and most of them are in this city. Mr. Speaker, you know, there are people who have tried to criminalize Shere in this country and make it look like it is something that God frowns upon. But I want to remind them that the first miracle that Jesus himself performed was to turn water into wine. And if these ladies who sambaza this michele were there at that miracle in Canaan, Mr. Speaker, they would have wreaked havoc, because everybody in that party had a drink. Mr. Speaker, we have an organization or a government entity in this country called the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. It is their responsibility to make sure that the supply and availability of these stupefying drugs is not as rampant as it is right now. I saw an investigation by one of the local media houses. It was so easy to procure these things. You just go across the counter and you tell them, Leo mukona gani, which one do you have now? They will even tell you that there's a more potent one that has come. And this should essentially be controlled substances, Mr. Speaker. It's not about, blacklisting what they call, what Senator Okenyuri was talking about, known places. Because the purveyors of mchele are mobile. Today they will be in a club on Ngong Road. Tomorrow you will find them. If you run away and go to Thika Road, you will find them there as well. And there have been reported cases even in this city where some clubs and security people in those clubs collude with these criminals, essentially criminals, to poison people. And we have seen very serious cases, Mr. Speaker, people actually die. And there is nothing that, as a senator of Nairobi personally, I would hate more than people who want to ruin Sherehe in this city. And therefore, I want to strongly agree with my sister Okenyuri that this is a matter that we now need to deal with firmly, and especially because a vast majority of the victims are men like myself. So, Mr. Speaker, this one is something close to my heart. I want it to be resolved as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ali Roba.